Happy New Year's Eve with BDD. Hey. What up? What up? Welcome, everyone, to the final episode of 2022 of Storytime with BDD. It's a special episode since we're on December 31st. It is currently 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's here. If you're here on the East Coast, it's 8 p.m. If you're out on the West Coast, California, where a lot of you are 3 hours earlier. So it's only 5 p.m. Pacific time. And if you're out in Europe, you're probably already celebrating the new year. So happy new year to our friends in Europe, in I think Spain and France. You guys are like 5 or 6 hours ahead. Correct me if I'm wrong. Portugal, our friends in Portugal. Where are you? Because you're always here. Oh, but it's crazy late. You guys might be out partying. And if so, I want to remind you guys, this show will be off long before the New Year's Eve parties are in full effect. So make sure you are safe and sound. Anyway, and Cindy, what time is it in Alaska? She said, that damn Alaskan said, don't you forget Alaska, damn it. What's the time zone out there in Alaska? We have actually a lot of viewers from Alaska. Sylvia Correa says it's already 2023 from Madeira Island, right? Is that where you are, Sylvia Correa? That's where you are. Sarah B. from Texas. Stephanie L. from Florida is here. Lee Saunders from the UK. What up? Happy New Year to you. It's 2023 where Lee Saunders is. Let's see. Lucy L. Sylvia Correa. That damn Alaskan. Sherry Scary from Kansas City, Missouri. Margaret Oliveira. Laurie B. Ness from Connecticut. Wifey told me we had some new viewers here. There's Aries Wanderer, Lori Latt, Eddie G is here, Cindy C, Claudia, Laurie Sue Cragen Clamped. Laurie Sue is a new viewer. I did see her subscribe earlier, so welcome to you. And of course Tina G. Okay, anyway, let's get this show on the road. I'm looking for that damn Alaskan says it's 4 p.m. there, so they're 1 hour behind California. Valerie G, I see you. Watch your Soko. All right, so the theme of tonight's show, I'm basing this off of a saying. There's a saying that goes, may you live in interesting times. Hey, hello, Shell Paulette. I see you there. Fox Hill Dreams, I got you too. Sandra from Paramount, California. There you are. May you live in interesting times. And that's actually not meant to be, it's not meant to be a good thing. It's like on the down low telling you, I hope your life is chaotic and horrible. But 2022 has been some interesting times. Let me make this a little bit bigger on the screen here so you guys can see. What's up, your boy Ken? I see you there. Bernadette H, there you go. Oh, and Margaret Oliveira is from Brazil. Brazil, what time is it in Brazil? It's probably not that far from where we are now. And there's the graphic for tonight's show there. We got a little bit of everything happening there. Tonight's show, we will be covering some big wins from the Biden administration, aka Dark Brandon. We'll also be covering some losses that actually ended up being wins when a guy loses, but everybody else takes it as a win. That's very interesting. Boris Johnson said bye-bye. And then there are those losses that are self-inflicted. Some people go sniffing where their nose don't belong, and they get everything that is deserving. for them. Anyway, before we go any further, I want to I'm going to try to remind myself to ask people to subscribe and like, not only for our live viewers, but for the replays. I forget to do this, and you guys have been faithfully reminding me every goddamn show this year, and I always forget. So if you're watching this show, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Those things do tremendous things for the show, will help us, whatever the YouTube algorithm is, to give us life. And so without further ado, I'd like to touch on a subject. We had a viewer, a very faithful, beloved viewer. We called her Wojo Mom, and she recently passed. And she was a very kind woman. She was a nurse for a long time, over 50 years, and we were all terribly saddened to hear of her loss. And I just want to take a moment of silence and all my prayers and my well wishes to her family and her loved ones. You guys, this isn't just a YouTube show. It's a community. It is a community of people who show up and look out for each other and care about each other. And this is one of the things I love about Twitter, is that it helped bring us together. And Wojo Mom, you will be sorely missed. We love you. And rest in peace. Other people we bid farewell to this year. There's quite a few notable personalities and celebrities in 2022, things that were kind of shocking. You were like, oh my God, some people that you were surprised to find out they were still alive. Other people that is just like, life is going to come around to everybody at some point, but it's still no less shocking when you hear. So I have some names of people that have left us. We have Ashton Carter, Barbara Walters, which was actually just last night. Bill Russell, Bob Saget. Oh, damn it. You know what I'm missing from this? Pope Benedict just passed away today, and it's not on my list, but I just mentioned him. Coolio, Franco Harris, James Caan, Jiang Zemin, Kirstie Alley, Meatloaf, Mikhail Gorbachev, Olivia Newton-John, Pele. We just lost Pele the other day. Queen Elizabeth II. For many of us, that, in fact, for all of us, that was the only queen we knew growing up, in our entire lives. Ray Liotta, Shane Warne. Whoops. I don't want to go to that yet. Did I finish that list? Oh, Sidney Poitier and Vivienne Westwood. And I'm sure that there are probably, a few. Kristen McVie. Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, there's probably a bunch that I missed. Twitch, as Trump Reaper is pointing out there. Twitch, we missed. Aries Wanderer says Jason David Frank. Trump Reaper also with Christine McVie. And life is short, as Lucy L points out for us. So that's that. Another thing that happened this year was I spent an entire year doing this show without interviewing anybody. Nobody. And most podcasts, they bring other people on so that the viewers and listeners can listen to someone else speak. So I started doing that this year, and the results were, I thought, encouraging. They were fun in most instances. I had a lot of fun. My very first interview was none other than Mary Trump. And for those of you who may recall, I had some audio difficulty that taught me a huge lesson. Always do an audio check before the show. There was a massive echo, and the show could not be salvaged. It was no good. But I did have a lot of fun with Mary Trump. I hope to be able to get her back on the show at some point. Rep. Hakeem Jeffries, who it turns out is going to be the minority leader of the Democratic Party in the House. And I was fortunate enough to get him on Storytime with BDD. And hopefully I can get him back once he ascends to the Speaker of the House. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, but BDD, the Republicans have the House now. They don't have an insurmountable margin. I just want to remind you guys, one guy, for instance, could be, I don't know, expelled maybe for egregious lies and corruption or whatever. A few others might, retire, you never know. These things are, these things are very fluid, very fluid. We also had Dr. Allison Gill, aka Mother She Wrote, and she's also the host of her own show, You Don't Know Jack, and she is covering the activities of the special counsel as he zeroes in on Donald Trump. Michael Cohen. We got Michael Cohen on the show, and that was a big get. That was a big get for the show here. Trump Reaper says, "How did you get Michael Cohen? He is hardcore. He laid the smack down." Indeed, and he actually was the one who reached out to me first to be on his show, Mea Culpa, which is a great show, by the way. It's a fantastic show. He has great, terrific guests. So by all means, go wherever you download your podcast, download Mea Culpa as well. And then, of course, I had a nice sit down with the very lovely Rosanna Arquette. She was a lovely, wonderful guest to have on the show. And that's another one I'd like to bring back too. And then, of course, Malcolm Nance. And very informative. We all know Malcolm Nance, but it was just a thrill and an honor to have him on the show. And this is just a sampling of some of the guests that we've had here on Storytime with BDD. You can look up the other guests there. Some of these interviews actually are evergreen. We'll discuss some issues that are pertinent to the things that are happening right then at the moment, but some of the things are evergreen, so give them a listen. So let's move right on ahead with the rest of this show here. So inflation was the big overriding thing of 2022. I think it's fair to say that. The media absolutely never let us forget that inflation was a thing. And oh my goodness, philosophy. Oh my goodness. Thank you, philosophy, for that very kind, generous donation, my friend. Thank you for that. Inflation was an overriding theme for the year, and something that made the Democratic Party actually worry a great deal. How are we going to get past this? And they've been working with the Fed. The Fed has been steadily increasing interest rates like throughout the year. I think 7 or 8 different times they have increased the interest rate to try to, pump the brakes on inflation and cool it down. So we'll see what happens. It looks like in the past couple of months that inflation is beginning to slow down. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see if that works here. The Los Angeles Rams, they won the Super Bowl. That was big for fans of the Rams and Cooper Kupp and what the hell is the name? It's not Jared Goff. It's the other Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff switched places. And now I don't know if I can say anything nice about how the Rams are doing now, so I'll just say nothing more at all. Also in February, towards the end of February, there was talk heating up of World War III. Why? Because Vladimir Putin had been assembling his forces along the border of Ukraine for an extended period of time. They just kept assembling their forces there, building up the troops. And sure enough, towards the end of February, Vladimir Putin and Russia invaded Ukraine. And this was an unprovoked invasion. Vladimir Putin imagines he wants to get the old band back together, the old USSR, bring all those countries back into the fold. But Ukraine isn't having it. They're like, we are a sovereign nation. We want to maintain our right to decide what is best for Ukraine. We don't want to be a part of Russia. So they are fighting, and they are fighting back hard. Meanwhile, Putin is kind of exposed right now. Not only is he appearing to be a frail, feeble, weak old man who fell down some stairs. Here's Lee Saunders said. Lee Saunders says Putin needs to start the new year falling down some stairs. Not only did he fall down the stairs, he shat himself. He broke his tailbone and apparently shat himself. I imagine it was on impact. Like when he hit that last step, boom, that was what happened. I'm sure of it. But yeah, look at him here on this like 40-foot long table to keep people as far away as possible from him. Gail, my friend, thank you so much. Thank you very much for the kind donation. We appreciate your generosity. And meanwhile, Time Magazine's Person of the Year, President Volodymyr Zelensky, all he did was galvanize the people of Ukraine. They asked him if he wanted a lift out of there. They were going to, airlift him out, bring him to a safe location. He said, I don't need a ride. I need ammo. And if that doesn't send some chill up your spine, then your heart is not beating, because that is some badass shit. Mind you, guys, President Zelensky was previously a comedian. This guy has a TV show. He had a TV show. I forget how many seasons it went. It's funny. It's actually a funny show. Comedian. But I guarantee you that those Ukrainians, they take him seriously. He has been the leader that they need right now. They are behind him 100%. Ness from Connecticut. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the kind donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So when Malcolm Nance was on the show, he said he was 100% sure that Ukraine had what it took to actually defeat Russia. And to me, this was shocking. I was sure that Malcolm Nance, as much as I respect him, I was sure that he was wrong about that, because, it's Russia. This is Russia. It's supposed to be one of the two superpowers in the world, and they have been exposed. Ukraine is beating that ass. Let's see. Speaking of beating that ass, There was an incident in the Oscars. There was some drama in which Chris Rock was about to present an award, and he's riffing. He's doing what comedians do, is riffing on people in the crowd. And he made some comments that were not sensitive towards Jada Pinkett about her. She's got a condition called alopecia that causes her to lose her hair, and lots of women have experienced this thing. And so, yeah, maybe it was some joking in poor taste. But Will Smith took it further and decided that he wanted to deal with this with his hands. He wanted to put his hands on another grown man and slapped him in front of the world, basically. That was the slap heard around the world. And people were stunned. And it's interesting. I see some people saying his anger was fake. And it did kind of seem for a moment, nobody knows really what was in Will Smith's mind or his heart. But at first, Will Smith appeared to be laughing along with Chris Rock and the crowd until he glanced over at Jada, and something triggered him, and he got up and slapped Chris Rock. And he has since apologized profusely. Some people have accepted it, some have not. I don't know if Chris Rock has accepted the apology, because he's really the one who needs to accept the apology and move on. I think Chris Rock has moved on, but I haven't heard or seen his new stand-up routine yet. That damn Alaskan, thank you, my friend. Thank you very kindly for the kind and generous donation. Thank you, my friend. Let's see. The Boston Marathon resumed after being on a hiatus caused by COVID. So that was a pretty big deal. That happens every year. This was the 26th Boston Marathon. And philosophy, I could have sworn, philosophy, my friend, I could have sworn you made a donation already. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Okay. Fast forwarding to April, where this kind of affects many of us who are in the audience right now, where Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter. And at that point, he had already kind of been showing his hand and letting people know who he is. He's an asshole. He is like an overgrown frat boy who I guess didn't get enough attention as a kid or something. I don't get it, but he had already shown that he has a proclivities towards the Republican Party. At that point, he was saying things like, Democrats used to be the party of kindness, but now Republicans are what? Like what? What? Makes no sense, dude. And so Elon Musk pretty in a very public way made it clear that he was going to begin trolling the same customer base that buys his Tesla vehicles, electric vehicles, because it's not Republicans, not conservatives. They don't believe in climate change. Why buy an electric car if I don't believe, if I didn't believe in the whole reason for buying one? So more on Elon Musk later in the show. Monkeypox made an appearance, because, yeah, of course, if we're not being bombarded by murder hornets, monkeypox is the next thing. That popped up, and it seems to have fizzled out as quickly as it came up. When you start hearing things about monkeypox and the other diseases that pop up along with COVID, because mind you, this whole year, it's not like COVID is over. No, COVID has made a resurgence in several areas throughout the country and throughout the world. In fact, China right now, China is wrestling severely with COVID. And that worries me because China's very big and they've got a lot of people. And yes, I know that the United States has instituted some new kind of procedures that prevent people who, coming over from China. But, you know, it's a very big world. It's a very big world. And people are going to get here from China. They will. And I hope that the strain doesn't overwhelm us and our hospitals, because apparently China is not they're not using the same vaccines that we're using. Who knows what the strain has mutated to over there yet? So we'll wait and see. I don't want to prejudge anything, but I'm a little concernicus about that. But monkeypox appears to not have made as big an impact that as people were concerned about. So I'm grateful for that. And Wilbur McCarthy, hello Wilbur, pointing out that measles and polio are also back thanks to anti-vaxxers and maggots. Yes. Those who are unfamiliar with the term maggots, no, we all know what maggots are. Then in May, we had back-to-back tragic mass shootings. One was in Boston at a supermarket. Killed 10 people in a supermarket. And the shooter, the murderer, was deliberately targeting areas that had high concentrations of people of color. So that's that. And then right after that, I think it was within a week or two, a tremendously tragic shooting happened at the Robb Elementary School, also known as the Uvalde mass shooting. And this one was horrific for so many reasons. One, because there were just young kids mowed down. Hello, Tanya Vav. I see you there. Oh, Buffalo. Excuse me. Thank you. What did I say? Boston? But that shooting, it was Buffalo. My apologies. Thank you for that correction there. Yes, Buffalo. And it actually says Buffalo in my notes over here. I don't know what's wrong with me. But the Uvalde shooting was horrific for a few reasons. One was because there were so many very young children. Elementary school goes up to like 6th grade. Or 5th grade. And some of the children could not be identified by their faces. They did not have a face to identify because the bullets had ripped through them. They had to be identified by, as Matthew McConaughey pointed out in his speech, by their green sneakers. I mean, you would think Sandy Hook should have been enough. Sandy Hook, should have been enough. But no, here we are in 2022, and we are still fighting these same old battles with the NRA and the gun lobby and people who just refused to concede any ground. They see this. They see instituting gun control laws as either taking my guns or it don't matter. You're not going to be able to stop every shooting. Well, you will be able to stop some. You don't know for a fact, and I don't know for a fact. But why aren't we doing everything we can to prevent this from happening to young children, to mothers, to daughters, to husbands and brothers and wives and fathers and grandpas? Cha-cha, thank you so kindly for the kind donation. Thank you for that. Yeah, so this is, I swear, I hope that we can make it through. Can we make it through a month or 3 months or 6 months without a mass shooting? Sounds crazy, but we should be able to. This is a problem that is unique only to the United States. Every other place, they might have the occasional mass shooting, but it's like once every 10 years or so. Also in June, we had a lot of historic moments this year, but this one I was very happy about. This was Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was nominated and confirmed to be the first African American woman as a Supreme Court justice. It's a big moment. It's a very big moment, and this was one of those promises made, promises kept things from President Biden. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. And he's doing that sort of thing. Dark Brandon. For those of you who are unfamiliar, who don't know what I mean when I say Dark Brandon, you should, because I've talked about it on the show. But it's basically people have turned an incident where a news reporter heard people saying "fuck Joe Biden," and she said, "Oh, they must be saying let's go Brandon," because she was interviewing a driver whose name happened to be Brandon. And so that became like a big meme, and everybody was saying, "Yeah, let's go Brandon." Let's go Brandon was the undercover version of "fuck Joe Biden." And so we on the left decided, you know what? We're going to reclaim that Brandon thing. And not only are we going to reclaim it, but we're going to put some laser eyes on this brother. Call him Dark Brandon. And they hated that. Oh, it's not funny. Oh, actually it is. It is funny. Anyway, what is not funny is that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson had to she had to be subjected to some very nasty, vile attacks from senators on the right, senators and members of Congress on the right that just were disgusting. You know, they dug into their bag of foul tricks and attacked her with the whole pedophile label. Well, you know, you let this guy off who was a pedophile, and therefore, you know, they were trying to insinuate that had something to do with her lacking morals and values, and it was just foul. Despite that, she did get confirmed, so she will be justice for life. With that said, I don't think we should have justices for life anymore. I don't. Even, I'm going to say this, even once the court becomes evened out once again, I hope it becomes evened out. I hope that we maintain the presidency for another 4 years in 2024 and give us another chance to get one or two more liberal left-leaning seats on the Supreme Court. I hope we can expand the Supreme Court from 9 to 13 justices. I think we should do that. But I also don't think that Supreme Court justices should have lifetime appointments. It's corrupt right now. There's a lot of people, Clarence Thomas and Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh, that are very questionable in my opinion. Right on the heels of Justice Brown being confirmed, another seismic shock was delivered to the citizens of the United States, where Roe v. Wade was overturned. Roe was overturned with the Dobbs verdict. And so now the rights that were pretty much guaranteed to women across the country for the past 50 years are no longer guaranteed. And states were all ready with their laws to criminalize abortion, to make it so that if a woman needed an abortion to save her own life, if her life was in jeopardy, if she didn't get the abortion, she could be prosecuted and convicted and go to jail for getting an abortion. So these laws went into effect almost immediately after this overturning of Roe, and I think it played a very big part in why the red wave that Republicans were predicting, why the red wave did not happen as they thought it was going to go down. Historically, midterm elections tend to go against the party that is in power in the White House. So, like President Obama lost something like 40 or 50 seats in 2010. It was brutal. I think President Clinton lost something like 60 seats, and that's just what happens historically. But that didn't happen. That red wave that the Republicans were predicting and expecting never materialized. And part of the reason for that was that the left was given a shot of energy. They were galvanized by this verdict. And so, yeah, I think this is a fight that needs to continue. Absolutely. Through 2024, until we can codify Roe. Until that happens, we fighting. And the January 6th committee hearings began in June as well. And this was a committee comprised primarily of Democrats, but there were two Republicans who are actually really no longer considered Republicans by Republicans. Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, daughter of Dick Cheney. I thought they did a fantastic job for the most part in how they presented their findings, how there was a very systematic process. They had to interview thousands of people. They have thousands of hours of interviews, thousands of pages of testimony, and they were getting to the bottom of how January 6th happened, who led the assault, who incited it, and they made their recommendations for criminal charges to the Department of Justice, and that includes recommendations for Donald Trump as well. The people I've talked to do not believe that that there is enough, believe it or not, to charge Donald Trump with crimes for January 6th. We'll see, because right now there's a guy on the case who is going to ascertain that. We'll touch on him a little bit later. And actually, before I move on, yes, Lee Saunders says Don Winslow has been hard on Liz Cheney. Thinks she let her friend Ginny Thomas off. I agree. And this guy here, not very well liked in in London. Boris Johnson said bye-bye. He'd been inundated by scandal, mostly surrounding the COVID era restrictions placed on the public. Meanwhile, he and his buddies were partying and just completely ignoring those restrictions. So he did not survive that, and he resigned. Lee Saunders says Bojo is a bozo. Wifey and I also had the pleasure of making a visit in July to New Zealand, which, for those of you who don't know, that is where Wifey is from. She is from New Zealand, and we got to visit the farm that her mom her mom runs a farm and has these beautiful llamas and cows and chickens and wait, cows? No, I didn't see cows. I saw horses. Wait, no, I did see cows. Wifey will correct me at some point. But we got to spend time with her family, whom she hadn't seen in person for a very, very long time. So it was wonderful to visit there. This is, for those of you who have seen my Twitter page, this is my my top banner image. And we went south to an area called Rotorua, and the air smells like sulfur. It smells like farts. Basically, the whole entire time. There are cows. That's what I thought. Okay. Rotorua is very beautiful, lovely sunsets, and they have the springs, the hot springs. That's what causes that farty smell. That's me in the hot spring there. And that was a very interesting experience. Like there's actual mud in there. It's all squishy. But it was cool. It's very cool. And I'd love to go back at this, it's not cheap. So we're going to have to save up to go back, to go back there again. Oh yeah, and then we went to what is that? Hobbitown, where the Lord of the Rings and all of its sequels were filmed. This was a very cool part of the trip too. And then upon our return, I was treated to the news that Kansas, mind you guys, is a red state. No question about it. Kansas is red, solid red. But they had a thing on the ballot was you vote no for women's choice, to save choice, or vote yes if you want to take women's choice away. And boy, Kansas came out and voted in abundance to save choice. And that was amazing to me. We saw a bunch of things happen like that in upstate New York. Pat Ryan won his election. That was unexpected. In Alaska, that was kind of unexpected. We saw a lot of signs that maybe this red wave isn't what the Republicans are making it out to be. And maybe that Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe was going to have more implications, more far-reaching implications that they did not anticipate. Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home was searched, and this whole sequence was fascinating to me. He had apparently taken boxes upon boxes upon boxes of classified files from the White House. And I laugh, but there's nothing funny about that because, that shit is illegal. He took all type of materials, including, some people said he had nuclear information. I'm not so sure, honestly. I'm not so sure how accurate that is, but in any case, they have his shit. And it's not his. It's not his at all. Let's see. There we go. There are the files there spread out on the floor. You can see they all say top secret. Many people are wondering if some of these documents are buried in Bedminster, New Jersey, with his recently deceased ex-wife, Ivana. She was buried on the golf course, which right off the bat, like, what? why are you burying your wife, your ex-wife, on your golf course? Why not put her in a regular cemetery? You know? Yeah, I'm sure that they buried some secrets with her too. The Inflation Reduction Act was signed in August, and this was a very big deal, and Republicans want to diminish the importance of this. They'll point to that, there's no inflation reduction in that. What inflation does it reduce? It doesn't reduce any inflation. It's just nonsense. But there's a lot of stuff in there. Some of it is inflation reduction. Some of it is climate change stuff. In fact, my buddy Justin recently posted a tweet here, and I'm going to bring that up. Is that it here? Yeah. Let's go to that. Yeah. He says, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. 2022 was a historic year of progress for America. Despite facing unbelievable obstruction from the Republican Party, the Democrats were able to achieve a lot. The Inflation Reduction Act was a major victory for working families. It caps pharmacy costs at $2,000 per year for those with Medicare Part D, and insulin costs at $35 per month, with 3.3 million Medicare beneficiaries with diabetes. It also allows Medicare to negotiate prescription drug costs with pharmaceutical companies, lowering costs for up to 5 to 7 million more beneficiaries. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are in empowering Medicare to negotiate lower costs for millions of patients, is that not, in fact, helping to reduce inflation? I think it is. The Inflation Reduction Act also made the largest investment in climate and energy in U.S. history, helping the country tackle the climate crisis and becoming a leader in clean energy manufacturing. So, yeah, that's a very, very big deal. And you should not be shy about sharing the details of those things. Let's see, what else do we have here? Drug costs, climate, energy, and American manufacturing, and it taxes corporations and the super rich. Yeah, so these things, they make a big deal, and we shouldn't be shy about touting these successes. The funny thing is, if a Republican had come up with the Inflation Reduction Act, you'd never hear the end of it, right? They will take credit. Republicans will even take credit for things that they voted against, like infrastructure, for instance. There are Republicans trying to take credit for a lot of things in the infrastructure deal that they voted against. So, yeah, we've got to crow about these things, because if not, they're going to turn around and say, well, what have Democrats done? Nothing, right? They don't get it if you don't crow about it. Hurricane Ian struck Florida, and that was a very, very powerful storm. It devastated places like Fort Myers in Florida. In fact, it did hit land specifically on Fort Myers, and it devastated the residents there. They're going to be in a state of rebuilding for a very, very long time. And, again, the Inflation Reduction Act does address climate change. And it's time for people to stop dragging their heels on this climate change thing. We have one planet, one planet. That's it. And the majority of us are stuck here. We won't have resources like Elon Musk will to go and take off and go live on Mars if it becomes unlivable down here. It is happening, whether we like it, whether we believe it or not. and the signs are all around us. There were massive protests in Iran that erupted when a woman died in custody, in police custody. Her name was Masa Amini, and her crime was that she didn't have her hair covered. As you can see in the picture here, most of the or all of the Iranian women in this picture here have their heads covered. That is like a non-negotiable law instituted by the is it the morality police, I think. And the women there, mostly a lot of young women, have decided, we don't want this. We didn't ask for this, and it's kind of cool to see. It's kind of cool to see them standing up against this oppressive regime. And here's the scary thing, though. There are currently 11,000 people. I think, is it 11,000 or 15,000? It's a very large number of people in custody who are slated to be executed. And when I heard this, I was like, no, they can't execute them. And they told me, no, they can execute them, and they've already started. So this is terrible. It's terrible. And I would love for America to step up. And I don't know why there's noise outside my window. Excuse me. Hey guys, keep the noise down. This is live. It's my son's friends. God damn it. Yeah, I would like it for America to step up and weigh in on this. I think we're already imposing crushing sanctions on Iran for its human rights violations. So, speaking of human rights violations, we have a human trafficker masquerading as governor in the state of Florida. Ron DeSantis, back in September, thought it was very cool and very fun to. This is the strangest thing. He got some people from Texas, to get on a plane, like they weren't even in Florida, but he paid for people to. He tricked these people to get on a plane and be flown all the way to Martha's Vineyard, which, by the way, Martha's Vineyard is nice. I've been there before. It's pretty nice. Would I choose to live there? No. But, it's kind of a nice place, I guess, if you're rich and you can afford to live there. But anyway, he sent them there as a stunt and philosophy. I hope your computer is not broken. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so kindly for the donations. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so they sent these people there and didn't give them a heads up. Here's how you know this was just a stunt intended for maximum publicity, maximum cruelty. They didn't give anybody a heads up on Martha's Vineyard that these people were on their way. They didn't have any time to, put some facilities together, to accommodate them. No, it just like put them on a plane and sent them. It's terrible. It's terrible. He didn't care about those people. He just wanted to make a political statement. But that's, actually human trafficking. When you're tricking people to get onto a plane and you send them wherever and you make promises to them that you have no intentions of keeping, it's human trafficking. And really, I'd like to see some charges brought against Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott for doing that, and any other nasty Republican governors who are attempting to make a name for themselves at the expense of people who are just seeking asylum, which is still, last time I checked, legal to do here in America. Yeah, it's terrible. There's little kids there being sent. You know what these people have to go through just to make it to the border? And it's not like they're trying to sneak in. No, they're like turning themselves in at the border and seeking asylum, right? They've had to endure hundreds, in some cases, hundreds of miles of travel, dangerous travel, because they have to navigate their way through their own dangerous areas. We have dangerous areas here in America. They have dangerous areas down there in South America. And they go through that. Thank you, Gail. Thank you so kindly. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. So by the time they make it to the border, they've gone through some shit. Some sleepless nights and having no food and freezing outside. And they do what they do to get here, only to be used as a political pawn in some asshole's game. It's despicable. Before I go any further, I would like to remind you guys to please subscribe and like. If you are watching and you still enjoy what you're seeing, please do so. This helps the channel out tremendously. Moving right along, Queen Elizabeth. Some people were not too sad to see her go. These are people who believe that the British royalty has done wrong to many places that have brown people, and I can't disagree with them. You know, but Queen Elizabeth, for the most part, is the only queen any of us, actual queen, any of us have ever known in our lifetimes. And she's always, always been there. And she's, she was a figurehead, basically, an important one, but she didn't have any political power, so to speak. That's Parliament. That's the Parliament does that sort of thing. And she is either a benevolent figurehead or Aries Wanderer. Thank you so kindly. Thank you for the donation. But yeah, it is what it is. She was the queen, and now she is gone. And here's a picture of the queen when she was a young hottie. Some people would call her a quilf. But wait. There we go. Okay. Sylvia Correa. Oh, thank you, Sylvia Correa. Thank you so kindly. Thank you for that. Thank you for the donation. This sad sack of shit on the screen here is none other than conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. And on his, oh my goodness, Claudia, thank you, my friend. Thank you for that. Alex Jones, on his show InfoWars, promoted the conspiracy theory that Sandy Hook, the horrific, terrible, heinous mass shooting of children younger than 10 years old, was a hoax. Imagine that. Imagine that you are a victim. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I can't imagine my my older sons being victims of something like that. But if they were just cut down in their little tiny 6-7-year-old lives, just cut down by some maniac with a gun, and then some other maniac with a microphone says that it didn't happen, and as a result of that guy's listeners harass me. So I don't even, it's like it's not bad enough that they lost their children in the most horrendous way imaginable, but then it was compounded by this motherfucker's idiot listeners. So he was hit with a $1 billion fine, $1 billion verdict. I don't know if he's going to pay it. I know he's going to try to get out of it, but I hope they take him for every goddamn penny he has and every penny he has the ability to make for the rest of his life. And here's this jackass here. Elon Musk in October finally acquired Twitter. At one point, it looked like he was going to try to weasel out of the deal, but no, he got it. In fact, he jacked up the price. He overpaid for that thing for Twitter. Twitter was not worth $44 billion that he paid for it, but he acquired it nonetheless. And he showed up at the headquarters, Twitter headquarters there with a sink, right? And I think he tweeted this picture and he said, "Let that sink in." Let that sink in. I mean, that's kind of funny, but it's, dude, come on. You're 50 years old, 51, 50 years old. You're a billionaire. You're the head of now 3 major corporations. Act like it. Act like it. Stop acting like some spoiled brat troll. The worst human being imaginable. They say billionaires shouldn't exist. Maybe, but there are some billionaires that don't act like shitheads. Like let's take for instance, Bill Gates' ex-wife. Wait, is it Bill Gates' ex-wife? Or no. Maybe it's it's that Amazon dude, Jeff Bezos. I think it's Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, excuse me, who decided she's going to take her settlement of billions of dollars and just donate that shit. Just give it away. Wow. And when do you hear about her in the news? You don't. But she is giving that shit away quietly and without, making an asshole of herself. That's the kind of billionaire that should exist. That actively redistributing wealth. Do that. That's good. Elon Musk declares that comedy is now legal on Twitter. When was comedy illegal on Twitter? I don't get it. But the point is, he's saying that, he's drunk the Kool-Aid and believes that wokeness is a bad thing. And that wokeness has destroyed comedy. Well, no. Wokeness is just a way of not being an asshole. It's treating people the way they want to be treated. It's that simple. And so he says comedy is now legal on Twitter. Okay, let's see how long that lasts. Oh, well, it didn't last that long. Hey, Veronica Tello. Thank you, Veronica Tello, for the kind of donation. As soon as he instituted this pay $8 for a blue check, people started trolling him and trolling Twitter in ways like, they used the blue check to create a profile and called it Elon Musk. And I think Kathy Griffin did that. And the lady from One Day at a Time, Valerie Bertinelli, did that too. And a few other people did that. And he punished them. He suspended their accounts. Why? They paid $8. They changed their profile. But now he says, going forward, any Twitter handles engaging in impersonation without clearly specifying parody will be permanently suspended. So comedy apparently is not legal on Twitter. Liz Truss was the incoming prime minister following in Boris Johnson footsteps, and she apparently did not outlast. I think what were they doing like a head of lettuce? she didn't outlast. It's too funny. I mean, don't get me wrong, Lisandra. Don't get me wrong. I'm not laughing at you guys. I hope that I'm laughing with you guys. I feel your pain, right? Oh my God. Here's Lisandra saying. She says, our new prime minister, who only 202 MPs voted for, is richer than the king, has a mansion in California, a green card, and wife claimed non-dom status, avoiding tax. Wow. Shit. I really want to see where this is going. But I feel for you guys, because look, at the end of the day, England is our friend. We have a special relationship with our friend England, so we cannot do with them suffering for an extended period of time. With that said, I don't know what they were thinking when they voted for the Brexit. Half of the people who voted for the Brexit didn't know the implications of that. They didn't know that that what was going to happen happened. They just kind of went along with the crowd there. Liz Truss lasted 44 days, tanked the pound, and cost the economy $30 billion. Phew. Well, at least they didn't cost the economy as much. They didn't cost the economy as much as Elon Musk cost his stockholders. It's brutal. Okay, this happened in October. This happened. So that's me pictured with Grant Stern, Noel Kasler, and Texas Paul. That was, I guess, the nerd prom. You know, it was a group of influencers at the White House who were basically called to help out with messaging down the home stretch for the midterms this year. And this was a blast. It was just like, it was so cool meeting all these people whose tweets I had been reading for years now, and seeing them finally in person. And there's me standing next to Aaron Rupar, who was also just suspended not too long ago. They claimed that he was they said he was doxing Elon's jet or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, his account has been restored since. And there's me meeting Ron Klain, who happened to know that I was Brooklyn Dad, and my day was made. It's very, very cool. So this also happened. This craziness. Kanye West woke up one day and decided that he had a beef with Jewish people. And in this tweet, he said, "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but guys, like if if there's a but in your sentence, maybe you need to rethink what you're about to say." I'm just saying. "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3. And then there's a gap. There's a big space. I don't know. Did he put some spaces in there? And then he says, on Jewish people. And then another big space. I don't know why he's putting all those spaces in there. Like, he wanted to make sure you saw it. Then he says, the funny thing is, I can't actually be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Oh, my God. Also, big space, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda. Jeez. I mean, run your shit past somebody. Can I tell you guys something? Like, I have never constructed a tweet with that much insanity in it, that much incendiary insanity ever in my life, because that's just not in me, not in my soul, right? But every once in a while, not all the time, but sometimes I run tweets past wifey. I ask her, hey, what do you think? Oh, my lights are off. I ask wifey, what do you think about this? And I'll read it to her. I do. And not because I think it's it's an iffy tweet. I trust her. She's an editor. She's very, very intelligent. She's like university educated, and so I ask her phrasing, how should I phrase this differently? And I bounce things off her because I trust her, and I know that she won't let me go out there looking stupid. I should probably ask her to read more of my tweets. Anyway, but Kanye doesn't do that at all, and that's a damn shame, because the fury was swift. He lost his accounts with Nike, or what was it? Was it Adidas? Nike, Adidas. Anybody who was fucking with him before is no longer fucking with him, and that includes Twitter. Elon Musk had Twitter had him on a timeout. Elon Musk brought him back, but then Kanye decided he wanted to beef with Elon too. And this is where we got to see the extent of Elon's belief in free speech. When Elon Musk came to Twitter, all these idiots on the right were like, yeah, finally, free speech, finally. And they confuse free speech with having the right to say any old stupid shit that comes out of your mouth with zero consequences. That's not free speech. Free speech doesn't mean that there are no consequences to your saying some shit. If you walk up to a dude and say, I just had sex with your wife, yeah, you're guaranteed the right to say that to him. But, you got an ass whooping coming to you. Just so you know, there's consequences to that free speech shit. So, this article here says Elon Musk suspends Kanye West from Twitter for inciting violence. I didn't see Kanye inciting violence. I did see him post a tweet hours before he was suspended that had a figure that looked like a swastika. That thing was up for hours, and Elon Musk was cool with it. But then Kanye posted this picture. He said, he posted this picture and said, this is going to be my last tweet. And sure enough, it was. This picture of Elon Musk being sprayed with cold water. That was the inciting violence tweet that he got booted for. Makes no sense. What a snowflake. The Astros won the World Series. That's a development that I'm 100% not happy about. I'm sure those of you in Texas, your boy Ken, I'm sure you're happy about that. Asmila J, I don't see you, but you're right there. Free speech isn't free from consequences if it's bad stuff. Correct. Yeah, so congratulations to Astros. I can't stand the Astros because they have my Yankees number. They beat my Yankees every goddamn time we face them. I'm sick of it. Makes me sick of it. The midterms finally came, and this was a victory that all of us could kind of enjoy. Did we keep the House? No. More on that in a little bit. But not only did we keep the Senate, we added a very crucial, critical seat, a 51st seat that was won by this gentleman here, Senator Raphael Warnock. Now, directly to the right of him is, John Fetterman. And John Fetterman suffered a stroke back in February or March of this year. And it looked like, as a result, his campaign was just going to be tanked, right? How could he possibly? He was having difficulty communicating, right? There was something that the stroke affected, which he could recover from. He could, right? But so there were people arguing, saying maybe he should have stepped aside. Maybe he should have, let somebody else run. Instead, he continued his campaign against Dr. Oz, who did everything he possibly could to help John Fetterman win. He was a horrible candidate. Then Katie Hobbs won her race against Carrie Lake, who's still denying her loss, right? Catherine Masto, oh my Lord, I'm always forgetting her last name. I should have had this written, but she won her race in Nevada. So, we won some very key senatorial and gubernatorial and even Secretary of State races. Cortez, thank you, Tina G. We won some very key races. And that also extends to the House, too. But let me get back to this race for the 51st seat. This was a special election that actually took place on December 6th. And Herschel Walker, when I talk about bad candidates and saying that Dr. Oz was a bad candidate, Herschel Walker made Dr. Oz look, very statesmanlike by comparison. I mean, this dude was just all over the map. This night when he whipped out that badge and thought that was a win, he thought it was a touchdown. My goodness. Excuse me. This was the most hilarious thing I had ever seen. And the memes were just all over the place. Almost instantly. Oh man, where do you even start? I mean, if it wasn't the whipping out of the badge, it was lying about places that he had gone to school, places that he had worked. Sounds very familiar. Sounds extremely familiar. It sounds like that George Santos guys. Apparently lying is the new truth in the Republican Party. But yeah, so thankfully, Herschel Walker was horrendous. But what irritates me is that Herschel Walker was horrendous, and that race should not have been as close as it was. And when I say close, I think Senator Warnock ended up with something like 53% of the vote. He should have blown Herschel Walker out of the water. And it just bugs me that Republicans knew what a complete idiot this guy was, and they voted for him anyway. Even his own son read him the riot act. Whew. Kevin McCarthy looks like he is possibly within shouting distance of acquiring the title that he has coveted so long, Speaker of the House. He just doesn't have the votes. He does not have the votes. Does not have votes. So it should be very interesting to see whether or not he will survive. Even if he does survive, even if somehow he is able to scrabble the votes together, he is going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene's bitch. He is going to do whatever the hell she says to do, which will in effect make Marjorie Taylor Greene Speaker of the House, actually. But yeah, George Santos, Kevin McCarthy is going to actually need George Santos's vote, right? He seats him. so he can get that vote. But how do you seat a guy as I can't even understand this. I can't understand this guy just made up a bucket of lies, a barrel full of lies. It's insane. Everybody's been making a joke about him being the John Lovitz character from Saturday Night Live, Tommy Flanagan, the habitual liar, or what is it? Whatever. He's the guy who says, yeah, that's the ticket. And then I met Morgan Fairchild. And then and she's my wife now. Yeah, that's the ticket. This guy just lied about everything. He lied about his heritage. He said that he was Jewish, and then later on he had to backtrack and said, no, I didn't mean I was Jewish. I meant I was Jewish. No, dude, that's not how that works. He said he was half black. No, you're not half black. And at one point he even brought his mother into his lies, into his like web of twisted lies, by saying that she died in 9/11, but then it turns out no, she actually died maybe in 2015 or 2016. Shoo! What? This guy's deranged. And then that's not even counting the financial issues that this guy has. Apparently he was only worth $55,000, but somehow was able to loan his campaign $700,000. Yeah, I agree with you, Sandra. Sandra's saying special election now to replace Santos. Don't even seat him. You know Kevin McCarthy's going to seat him because he needs that vote. Kevin McCarthy will sell out his own mama for a vote. He will do it. And Speaker Pelosi, we are, we've already kind of said goodbye to Speaker Pelosi because she's announced that she is stepping down from the speakership. She has no choice in that matter. She didn't, the Democrats did not hold the House. So, but she's also stepping down from a leadership role. So she's not even going to be the minority leader of the House. But she's still going to be in the House, just kind of sitting on the back bench and giving advice, giving guidance when and where needed. I think that's tremendous. I think she's done a fantastic job as speaker, probably the best speaker we've ever had, period, hands down. She's had some very narrow margins for error, and she still managed to navigate the Democrats through signing a whole lot of legislation and getting it over to President Biden to sign. So my hat is off to the most amazing speaker I can recall in my lifetime. I loved how she stood up. She stood toe to toe with Donald Trump, and she did not budge an inch. She didn't back down. She kicked his fucking ass. I love her. I love her for it. Oh my God, this was such a great moment. And the funny thing is, I don't think she actually meant it as a blatant troll as it appeared, but that's how the whole rest of the world saw it. It was fantastic. It's just fantastic. It just shrunk him in front of everyone. So her protege is now Rep. Hakeem Jeffries, who is going to step into the leadership role, the minority leader of the House. And that guy is brilliant. I met him back in June, and that's how I was able to get him on the show a couple of months later. And he's brilliant. That's all I can say. I think if he ends up being our leader, and taking notes from Speaker Pelosi, sky's the limit. I asked him, by the way, on the show if he was interested in being president. He said no. The House he loves being in the House. So we shall see what happens with him. Now, this whole thing, when this thing erupted with FTX and SBF, all these trolls were coming after me on Twitter like, well, why aren't you going to say anything about FTX or SBF? And I'm like, what? SBF? Isn't that the thing that's in the isn't that in suntan lotion? SBF. So FTX, seriously, I did not know before a month ago who or what these things were. But FTX was a big cryptocurrency marketplace, I guess. If you wanted to buy crypto, you would go to FTX. And SBF is an acronym for the guy who started FTX. His name is Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF. And apparently he was using FTX like an ATM, and instead of doing the right thing with his clients' funds, he was just spending it. That's it. And I guess apparently he had made some massive donations to, Trump Reaper says she had no idea what FTX was before they tanked. Same here, exactly. But apparently he had made some major donations to the Democratic Party and also to the Republican Party. The difference is with the Republican Party, they made sure that their donations were done, privately or whatever, like secretly. Democrats, they didn't do it because they didn't see any reason to hide it, because they're naive and stupid and they thought everything was everything and above the board, and it wasn't. So he screwed. And the fact that he has taken down some pretty rich and famous and big clients, that's his ass. He is definitely going to go to prison probably for the rest of his life. Think about Bernie Madoff, and then multiply it by 5. That dude is not getting, he's not escaping his fate, I don't think. Gail says, I don't understand the point of cryptocurrencies. And I'm kind of with you there, although I have a sense of like, I feel like I missed out. Like I remember when Bitcoin had first come out and it was like nothing, cost almost nothing to buy a Bitcoin, I thought back then, I'm going to say like the late 2000s, I thought that it was for criminals, right? Because they said you could conduct transactions online that are anonymous, and people were using it to buy drugs and to buy illegal shit on the black market. So I was like, well, I don't need that because I'm not buying illegal shit. So I totally left it alone. Stupid. So I missed out. And then the price went from, I don't know, 25 cents each to like, 16,000, or excuse me, 60,000 for one. Just skyrocketed. So I think at some point in the future, I think Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will probably be more widely used. But what happened with this thing with FTX is that it wasn't regulated. And if it's not regulated, you don't have any oversight on this. And if you don't have any oversight, you're basically throwing your money at something that you might not even have any recourse to recoup your shit because it's not being regulated. Yeah. So that's that. I think that's a big black eye for cryptocurrency. I think they'll recover, but it's going to take some time to regain the trust of the public, I think. And then Merrick Garland, Attorney General Merrick Garland, announced that he was putting a special counsel on Donald Trump's ass. A guy, Jack Smith, who will be hunting down every little bit of legal jeopardy that Donald Trump is in, and he is going to ascertain whether or not there is enough evidence to prosecute. And so this was actually a very savvy decision. I did not agree with this statement at first. When it first happened, I was like, this is just more delays. But no, it was explained to me that by doing this, it takes the politicization out of the equation. So now if Merrick Garland were to say, I am going to prosecute Donald Trump for X, Y, and Z, the Republicans can look at that and say, they're just using Merrick Garland as a weapon. But he's taken himself out of the equation and given it to an independent counsel. And we shall see. A lot of people are telling me they expect indictments by no later than mid-2023. Nurse Mitch wants to know if Jack Smith is real. His pictures look strange somehow. Yes, he is real. I don't think I've seen him live yet. I've only seen these very strange looking pictures with him wearing this garb that looks like Star Trek stuff. Argentina won the World Cup, and Messi finally got that very elusive trophy. So congratulations to Messi and the Team Argentina. You guys put on a hell of a finals thing, quite fantastic, I think. I'm not a big fan of soccer at all, but my son is, and he was watching and he's very engaged, and it was just fun to watch him screaming his head off, and it was cool. I'm glad it ended the way it did. Another ending that I'm pleased with is that Brittany Griner, after having been held in Russian prison, after she was sentenced, I think, to 9 years in prison for possession of weed. I think she had those vapes and vape cartridges, and they had hemp. Was it hemp or hash oil in them or something? Yeah. Here, it has been decriminalized. President Biden decriminalized marijuana on the federal level here. And so now she's home. She's free. And what did it take? It took a swap. They swapped her for a very bad guy. He was he's an arms dealer. I cannot for the life of me remember what his nickname was, but very bad dude. And he only had about 2 years left on his sentence. So if they didn't do something with him, he would have gone free in 2 years and we would have got nothing out of it. So I thought it was a wise move to make. Maybe you don't make that move if he's still got, 20 years left on his sentence, but he only had 2 years left. So might as well put that to some use. And the other guy who was also being held was a former Marine who I believe was dishonorably discharged, Victor Boot. That's right, Veronica Teller. Thank you for that. Yeah, but it was a nickname. It was something like not the Butcher or some kind of Merchant of Death, was it? Maybe it was the Merchant of Death, right? Some kind of merchant. Anyway, we're still going to try to get that ex-Marine home, but right now he wasn't even up for negotiation. I guess they're holding him out. They want some other kind of deal for him. This happened about 2 weeks ago. This was a major deal. The Respect for Marriage Act was signed by President Biden. And this was a big deal. I was there. And it was very fucking cold that day. I'll tell you that. It was cold. I was out there for hours, about 3 or 4 hours. But I mean, damn, everybody was there. Speaker Pelosi was there. Chuck Schumer was there. Cory Booker, you name it, they were there. And this act ensured that people, that LGBTQ people, can marry whoever the hell they want to marry. That's right. Trump Reaper John Cooper was there, and I did actually meet him too. And also interracial marriages. My own marriage is an interracial marriage. Interracial marriage is no longer in danger or jeopardy of being challenged in court. It's crazy to think that in 2022, these are the battles that we have to fight. But forget about it. We're going to fight these battles and we're going to win them. I was very freaking close to President Biden, close enough to reach out and grab him, but I didn't, because I didn't want to be reached out and grabbed. Also, there were people who shoved their way past me and just put me just out of reach of the president. But it was quite an affair. Cyndi Lauper sang and Sam Smith sang, and it was tremendous. It was a great feeling. Wonderful. The Trump organization was found guilty of 17 different charges, and that's good. That's a very good. You know, his brand is being obliterated. You know, right now you have to imagine that if this guy tries to get a loan from a financial institution, how's he gonna swing that? You know, because these convictions matter. You know, being convicted for tax fraud and insurance fraud and all that other stuff, that shit adds up. It doesn't matter that you have, 74 million red-hatted fools who voted for you. You can't take that to the bank and cash it. You cannot. I promise you, you can't do it. And then the House Ways and Means Committee just released 6 years of Donald Trump's tax returns from 2015 to 2020. There were his personal and business returns, and they were released to the public this past Friday, yesterday. And it basically confirmed, what most of us have already known for a long time, but just couldn't confirm, that he is broke as a joke, that he is cheating on his taxes, that he's paid less in taxes than he should have for a guy who claims to be as wealthy as he claims to be. And it confirms that he's a horrible, crooked, corrupt businessman. Look, there are businessmen like Donald Trump who they have their shit tight, and maybe they're not engaged in a whole lot of bribery and, and all this other crooked shit, extortion and money laundering. They make their investments and they make interest on shit, and that's enough for them. But this guy is crooked. It's disgusting. And this brings us towards the very tail end of my presentation. The other day, we were gifted by an exchange between Andrew Tate, who is a misogynistic, toxic asshole. He's a kickboxer, I guess. He's a guy. He's rich. He's worth, a few $100 million at least. And you can see here, he decided to at Greta Thunberg, who I'm sure she probably was not even aware of. She knows who he is now. He says, "Hello, Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16 8.0 liter quad turbo. Like, who cares even? Who cares? My 2 Ferrari 812 Competizione have 6.5 liter V12s. This is just the start." What? This is just the start. Like, we give a shit. "Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions." So, he was trying to clown her. Provide an email address so he can send. He's basically saying, "I'm polluting the planet. What are you going to do about it?" That's his way. That's his troll. But he also, he says he has 33 cars. What is the point of having 33 cars, right? The fact that he also named 2 of them, his Bugatti and his Ferrari cars, it shows that that's what he cares about. And he thinks that those expensive name brands add value to him, make him a more important person, not based on his own actions, just based on his possessions, which is pretty lame. It's pretty lame. So he got answered. His tweet was responded to, and it was epic. "Yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com." Oh my God. That was the shot heard around the world, and it was glorious. It was glorious. Just a few words, and she eviscerated him. She murdered him on the internet. I mean, I don't see how she could have handled it any better. It was short, it was sweet, it was to the point. Do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. So 8 hours later, not 8 hours later, 10 hours later, Andrew Tate posted a response that, he thought this was the response. This was the answer that was going to clap the hell out of her. He just kind of owned himself with his response. Basically, pointed out Trump Reaper said dude got shot in the face by a kid. Yeah, thank you, Esmila J. Small D energy. Normal people don't care about that. Yes. Veronica Tello, that's what happens when you mess with a teenage badass. Lee Saunders says one of the top 20 tweets of all time. No, it's one of the top 5 tweets of all time. As of this time yesterday, she was, I think, number 5, if not more. She had something like 3.5 million likes. 3.5 million likes on that tweet. Whew. And so this guy put together a video response to her. Took him 10 hours to come up with it too. In which he clearly showed that he thought that small dick energy at getalife.com was her email address. He didn't get the humor, so that went right over his head. And there's a guy who put together a video of like an edit of this response, and I just want to play this for you guys.
Okay, so we're rolling. How do you want to start?
Release some greenhouse gases.
Very cool. Maybe do a wink as well. Nice.
The mainstream press is commenting on the fact that...
maybe flash us a nip whilst you're talking.
I was informing Greta
Oh, that's lovely.
that my very extensive car collection run on dead dinosaurs
Should we be fact-checking any of this? Because that dinosaur thing isn't true. So you sound like an idiot a bit.
have an enormous emission
Pause for effect.
profile.
Lovely.
And she replied by telling me her own email address.
Ooh, Andy, I don't think it was actually her email address.
I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address?
I think she was exaggerating for comedic... Oh, God. How to explain comedy to an idiot. She was using the sort of form of an email address to indicate what she thought of you. I actually don't even think at getalife.com is a real domain. I'm just going to find out. You're not doing a, got ya by saying that's her email address, because she's already said that's her email address.
I'm not actually mad at Greta.
You don't seem it either. This feels like a really mature response to a 19-year-old. Oh, the pizza's here. Oh, will we stop?
Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled.
We do not need to do a second take of this.
The global matrix got this bot farm to like and retweet.
Because there is no way that people like Greta more than they like you. I mean, look at you. Look at us.
Greta,
Do an impression of it.
with a little hate-filled face,
That is brilliant.
sitting somewhere without the heating on, in the cold, a little hat, shivering.
Shivering.
Use my tweets, which is going to make my Twitter account far more fun into eternity.
And that's a wrap. Great work, everybody. I'm going to send that across to you, Andy. What's your email address? Don't get jokes at imacunt.com. Great.
Chef's kiss brilliant. He said alpha ha ha ha. So it was excellent. So this jackass posted that video. Just, I don't know what purpose he had of bringing those pizza boxes on camera, but the pizza box is what did him in, because he was in Romania, and that pizza box, what was it? Jerry's Pizza is a Romanian brand, so they knew, where they knew how to track him down. They found him, and I triangulated his position and then arrested his ass. That was awesome. So I think he's out. But he was arrested for human trafficking. It's pretty serious. Pretty serious. And that's one of those rare times that that karma jumped up in real time and bitch slapped a motherfucker. So yeah, that was the end of the year gift that we didn't know we needed, but we got it. And a major thank you to Greta Thunberg for making it happen. I don't even think it was her intention. I guarantee you she was not trying to go viral with that. I don't think. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. She ended him. So here we are. Right now we're about 2 hours and 12 minutes away from New Year for us here in the East Coast. And my wishes for the new year are as follows. I'd like to shave off about 15, maybe 20 pounds. Yeah, weight for me is like a constant challenge. I did the whole 30 earlier this year, and I put it all back on. Oh well, I was enjoying my food a great deal this year, so gotta get it back off. Aside from that, bigger goals are I would like for us to codify Roe. I would like for us to get voting rights passed. It's not a small thing. There are still states in America that are trying to set up laws that will disenfranchise voters more than they already are being disenfranchised by gerrymandering and like the removals of access to drop boxes. unfair voter ID restrictions, stuff like that. And immigration. I think that's a big one. I think it's important for both parties to sit down in a room and hammer out details for immigration reform. You got to stop making a political football out of this, because there are real lives that are at stake, not just those lives of the migrants, the asylum seekers, but the lives of Americans too, are affected by this in so many different ways. I think it's time to bring an end to those publicity stunts being orchestrated by Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis. They're stupid. They're ineffective. The only people that get a rise out of that are scumbags. The rest of the decent folks are looking at that like Greg Abbott did that shit on Christmas Eve. Sent a bunch of people to Vice President Kamala Harris's house in 18-degree weather on Christmas Eve. Come on. And you call yourself a Christian? That's not what would Jesus do? Not that. He wouldn't do that. Pretty sure. I'm not Christian, but I know he wouldn't do that. Yeah, and I would like the Democratic Party to continue to be on the offense, not on the defense. I think we have to figure out a way to deal with this whole narrative on the right. They seem to have claimed this space about groomers, and it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. There's a lot of people going to get hurt by that unnecessarily hurt. They're ginning up anger and resentment and hostility towards members of the LGBTQ community. And it's wrong. It has to stop. And a lot of it is misinformation. Like they tried to get Katie Porter caught up in some shit. They try to say that Katie Porter said that pedophilia is like a lifestyle choice. What? And they were trying to spread that as fast as you could possibly spread some bullshit. And prominent members of the people on the right were spreading that nonsense. And who was helping that to spread? Elon Musk, because he has boosted those voices on the right and insulated them from fact checking. A serious discussion needs to happen. What do you people expect our trans brothers and sisters to do? Huh? What do we expect them to do? Huh? To deny them who they are? To stay in a closet? We're going to go backwards now? We're going to go backwards to that? We're going to ostracize them? You're going to just let them commit suicide? Because that's what's happening to a lot of that's what's happening to a lot of trans people who cannot get the help that they need. They're committing suicide. We don't care about them. Just going to force some shit down their throat. God meant for you to be a man. That's why I put a penis on you. It's wrong. A few hundred years ago, majority of the smart people on the planet thought that the planet was flat. The smart people. That changed because, science, because they learned shit. Shit they didn't previously know, they now know. They thought at one point, just like 60 years ago, they thought the atom was the smallest thing. And then, lo and behold, they learned that, actually, you could break the atom down even smaller into smaller bits. Because science. And the further along in this process we go, the more we learn about ourselves, about science, about our bodies and all that, there's still a vast ocean of information that science doesn't know about our brains and our bodies, a vast ocean. An auto mechanic knows more about the engine of a car than a doctor and a neuroscientist knows about the brain. So we have to understand that these things about our trans brothers and sisters that people think are weird or stupid, or people are just, convincing each other to be trans, that it's a trend or it's a fad. No, it's not that at all. I remember in the 1980s, kids that had difficulty focusing in class, they just put them in special ed. They just said that they were slow. And then what happened? We learned that these kids had ADD or ADHD. And you give them a pill and then they're better. But like a whole generation of kids just got uncared for. And maybe a slice of those, a fraction of those people ended up being murderers or rapists or, scumbags, criminals. So the way we react to our own ignorance is affecting our future and affecting the future of our kids and our society. And we got to put a stop to it. The only way we can put a stop to it is through information sharing and knowledge, not ignorance, not closing our eyes and ears and saying, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want my kids to hear about it. You're going to just pretend like you're going to force these kids to pretend like gay people don't exist. You think in Florida, just because you say, don't say gay, you're not going to look over to the left and see two men kissing? Huh? And wonder what's that all about? And then what about those kids who are gay in Florida? Huh? And are confused about their feelings? Huh? You're going to teach them that it's bad to be true to themselves? You're going to teach them that it's bad to love who you want to love? So, yeah, that's a big thing. That's a big thing for me. That's a big thing. We need to do something about that. And with that said, my friends, my main wish for right now is that if you are going out tonight, please be safe. Do not drink and drive. Huh? If you want to get your drink on, that's cool. But call an Uber, call a taxi cab, have a friend drive you home. Do not drive home. Do not drive drunk, period. And if you have not yet gotten your shot, what are you waiting for? Get it, because that shit is still out there. Wear a mask. Keep your social distance 6 feet or better. And enjoy the rest of this lovely evening and weekend. And Happy New Year to you guys. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for all of your support. And when I say support, I don't just mean your kind donations. I do appreciate those. And Lulu Girl, I want to thank you. I see you've made a donation to me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. But I also mean the emotional support. I've gone through some rough patches this year. I've been abused quite a bit, and I'm not complaining about it now. I'm just stating a fact. You guys are there for me. You guys are there to hold me up, and you motivate me, and you help me keep going, keep strong. And I thank you for that. I love you guys. So with that said, I will see you guys here next year. I love you all. Peace. Thank you, Maud Day. Thank you, Philosophy. By the way, you guys, our friend here, Philosophy, he goes by the profile Slater, Slater Jonathan 4 on Twitter, and the Musk has slammed his account and caused him to lose 40,000 followers. So he's starting over from scratch. So tell your friends. He is one of those feel-good accounts on Twitter. Whenever I see his stuff, it's always an interesting, fun little video or some a cool photograph or something. He's a feel-good account. It's like 99% of his stuff is not political. So do what you can to help my brother out. Give him a follow. Tell your friends to follow him as well. Let's help get him back up to where he needs to be. Oh, that damn Alaskan said, please replay the episode where Chump got his Twitter taken away. Best laugh I've ever had. I got to see if I can find that. Thank you, Shell Paulette. I appreciate you. Trump Reaper. Yeah, I'm going to see who I can get on the show. And if I can't get somebody, I'll be here soon. Don't you worry about it. Meredith says, let's dance. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. My favorite thing to say on New Year's Eve is, I'll see you next year. So you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here because you need to leave.